All right, guys, I'm like, let me go ahead and do this narration real quick of Corona Queens because it keeps coming up. Yeah, Corona Queens, New York. Guys, now that I sit and reflect and I think back at the places I was at, I mean, it's just unbelievable. So here I am, staying in Cambodia for 6 months, right, in an apartment. Then it's time to come back to the States. The whole pandemic thing had been building up while I was in Cambodia, especially the last month I was there. I didn't know how really serious to take it until I got on a flight back to the United States. And obviously, it was a good thing that I left Cambodia when I did because I could have been stuck in like some kind of holding chamber, right? Over there, guys. I left about a week before they locked everything down. It was that close, guys. And of course I'm thinking, why stuff gotta happen as soon as, I'm doing my thing. You know what I mean? But anyway, I just can never forget. Before we play this, guys, let's see if we can keep this under 10 minutes. Before I play this, just thinking about what had happened on that plane trip back when I was on my way to New York. It was unbelievable. I mean, I'm still traumatized by it. I told you guys the story back in the day. So here I am coming back from Cambodia, headed to New York. First time going to New York, by the way. And I don't know what the situation is going to be when I get there because I keep hearing about lockdowns and all the stuff and all the precautions. I remember being in the airport and they were asking me had I been to China, which was crazy because I flew through China, through Shanghai to get to Cambodia. I mean, it was just I mean, I couldn't really believe I was going through the whole thing, you know what I'm saying? It was so strange that all this was going down as I'm coming back from Cambodia headed to New York to live in the projects for a couple of years. Well, I didn't know it was going to be a couple of years. I thought it was only going to be a few months to a year. But anyway, so what traumatized me on the plane is when this guy, he starts coughing profusely on the plane. And I'm sitting there, and at first, this guy, I don't know how, but he was away from me. Somebody got up, maybe it was a family. Somebody got up, went to go sit somewhere else. This guy ends up like laying across the seats, guys, coughing next to me, like the whole plane trip there. I couldn't even get any sleep or nothing. It was just this guy coughing profusely. I mean, it was real bad, guys. Like the whole plane could hear it. And I couldn't believe he laid his head down by like next to my seat. I mean, I was just literally traumatized, y'all. Everything that like should not be happening was like happening to me at that point. Okay, then when I got to New York, when we landed, I got out the plane, went into the terminal, and they had like they had wheelchairs lined up all up against the wall and around the corner. It had to be like 300 wheelchairs, guys. Seriously, as I'm walking through the corridors. But let's go ahead and play this, guys. The whole thing about being in Corona, Queens, I worked most of my time in Corona, Queens, guys. I lived in Williamsburg. Corona, Queens was probably only like, I don't even know, maybe 2 miles away. And so I spent a lot of time, especially when I got the car in Corona, Queens. And how ironic it was that I was there in Corona, Queens as the pandemic was happening at the same time. Go figure that. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, this is just like how my life goes. This is just the kind of coincidences that be happening to me. I'm pretty much living in Corona, Queens, guys. And then, but I didn't learn about the history of the World's Fair and all those things until I left New York, which was kind of strange to me. I started hearing all the stories about the stuff about Corona Queens. I'm debating if I even want to mention, the science fiction part of Corona Queens. That had to do with the World's Fair and all this type of stuff. I know there was a UFO. I think it was a UFO incident, something that happened there at the zoo or something. And it's kind of interesting too because I still, there I was basically in Corona Queens like every single day, right, guys? I have some fine females living in Corona Queens, by the way, but uh, they still have the World's Fair stuff like up, like you see the stuff that was at the World's Fair, these monuments and stuff that's still there. And I saw that stuff like every day. I used to drive past it, be driving through Corona Park, all that, guys. I, this video I'm about to play right now, this is when I was on Roosevelt. Uh, this is just Roosevelt Avenue under the train. This is just a few blocks from the Met Stadium. I was in this area like every single day. And that's all I saw everywhere I went. Corona this, Corona that, Corona store. While the pandemic was going on. Can you guys imagine what I was thinking? Like what in I felt like at that point I started questioning reality. If you guys can imagine, out of all places I can be, never been there before, I end up in Corona, Queens. At that time, at that specific time, at that place, I said, this can't be real. This life cannot be real. What are the odds that I end up in Corona, Queens, guys, at that time? And by the way, I had never even heard of Corona, Queens, by the way, guys. I heard of Queens. I never heard no, before I got there, I never heard no Corona Queen. It's like it just appeared out of nowhere that there was a such thing as a Corona Queens, New York. And there I was there. I never heard of this before. I heard of Corona beer. Never heard no Corona Queens before. Trying to see if I want to say anything else before I play this video. Um, because yeah, we're about to. I'm not gonna play this long, guys. Just want to show y'all a few clips of me walking on Roosevelt Avenue in Corona, Queens, and that was quite a place, y'all. I'm trying to see if anything I want to say about that before I play this. Because when I play this, then that's it. No, I just can't get over that, guys. I think about that every now and then. I cannot get over that I was living there at that time. Let's go ahead and play this. What's going on YouTube? About to show you guys, take you guys on a little tour. This is Naga, Cambodia. About to show y'all Junction Boulevard here in Queens, Corona, Queens, New York. Let's check it out. Junction Boulevard is where you can find all the clothes and retail, food, ices, all that old school New York flavor. Even on a Monday, it's on and popping. Yeah, but it still didn't have as much style and clothes that Cambodia had. Guys, I'm gonna go ahead and keep this short because I want to keep another 10 minutes and we're about to hit that mark. I'll just make a part 2 to this, all right? Because I know it's gonna be some more stuff I want to mention about Corona Queens. I know it is. So we're just gonna go ahead and make a part 2 to this.